welcome to the stage, Deb Weinswig.
Justin being one of the amazing speakers I helped bring to the stage. So Justin, just so you know, Justin and I literally put together an entire conference in 3 weeks and had not really talked about like even how we were emceeing until we like got there. So if you ever need someone as a lifeline, Justin's your guy. So with that as a kickoff. So at Coresight Research, where we were originally founded in the Greater China area as part of a think tank for Li and Feng, we spent a lot of time, so this is going back to 2013, in live shopping. And if we look at kind of the opportunity in live shopping and the size of the market, it is not where we would have expected it to be. But if you think about the opportunity and the size, right, and so there's shoppable video and there's live streaming, if you think about in terms of like the market as a whole, live streaming right now in China is almost $794 billion in sales. In the US, we're at about 35 billion. And so certainly there's some from a tech angle, right? But there's also this idea around training KOCs and KOLs. So this idea of a key opinion leader and a key opinion customer as opposed to influencers. So KOLs and KOCs are about we and community, and influencers typically about themselves and their own brand. So I do believe there's a huge amount of opportunity. We've done an incredible amount of work in this area. And a lot of retailers will try it. They're like, that's nice, but we're going to go back to the way we were doing things because live shopping is actually in a completely separate channel, right? So you have your head of stores, you have your head of e-com, but having a head of live shopping or live streaming, it's actually a completely, this is kind of the whole idea of unified commerce. So the opportunity ahead, in my opinion, it's one of the reasons I'm so long on retail, right? Going back to my Wall Street days, right? Retail is a place I would be significantly investing. As well as, and Justin can talk to you about this on stage, off stage, but the ability for retail to drive revenue. So whether it's data monetization, whether it's retail media, whether it's kind of retail as a service like Walmart's doing with Last Mile, we are in a day and age, I, as somebody who studied the industry for many years, I never thought we would be here. We talked about it as like, oh, futuristics, but we're here. And those retailers, I don't know if you guys saw the JCPenney announcement. So right, they're literally forming another brand aggregator called Catalyst. So you're seeing this this just happened right after the close. So you're starting to see, right, real changes in the landscape, and I think that will continue. So in-store live streaming, I could not have made this up. I was at a conference for Placer AI, and I was sitting on a very large panel, and someone said, oh, can you talk about live streaming in store? And I'm like, I literally said, I was so excited, I said, I love you, right? Because what's so unbelievable is to be able to bring your store to life, because now you have somebody, right, who's talking about your product, they're being videoed, but the amount of attention that it brings into the physical realm, the sell-through, and if you look at, from a returns perspective, returns in online live streaming are high single digits. We're talking 7-8%, because you can ask the person on the other side, what's the color inside the bag? What's the drop on the strap? How many pockets, inside, outside, can I fit my phone in? And so this idea that you're getting immediate feedback is fascinating, and kind of this idea of touch and buy. And so that I think is really significant. So with that, and if you really want to kind of get Justin's goat, just ask him about Amazon's live shopping, because he loves to answer those questions. So with that, I'll turn it over to Justin.
Thanks, Deb. Let's give it up for Deb. How many of you know Deb Weinswig? You're friends with her, you've worked with her. Okay, how many of you know Coresight Research? A couple of you? Okay, if you're in retail or you're in consumer goods and you're not already checking out or have investigated what Coresight provides, and this is a little ad for her, and she did not ask me to say this, by the way, but I'll tell you, you're missing out. There is no other analyst that covers retail like not only Deb, but her team at Coresight. And so I just suggest that if you want to really follow the industry and stay up with digital in the industry, I'd suggest you check it out, and if you'd like to know more, you can talk to Deb, or you can talk to most of us. We leverage our content today. So my name's Justin. I work for Amazon. I work on the technology side of Amazon in retail, consumer goods, and now restaurants as well. I'm just going to get us started with some more content actually from Coresight, and I'm going to talk about some of the trends in the industry just for a few minutes, and then we're really going to get to the panel. I'm just the setup act for, which is a really great group of folks here with us today. But if you can't read the slides here, it's kind of interesting. If you look at retail sales over the next 2 or 3 years, continued growth, around 3%. But look at the e-commerce sales growth, 7 to 8%. And I put in on the right side just fashion apparel. By the way, these are US numbers. I know some of you are here from other countries and worldwide. That information is available as well. If you'd like it, I can share that with you. But I just pulled this for today. But look at fashion apparel. What's fascinating about fashion apparel is in 2020, the online sales of fashion apparel exceeded in-store sales. That's crazy, right? And by 2028, you can see the numbers here, significantly growing. Retail media, if anybody has been to any retail conference in the last 12 months, retail media has been the top topic, I'll call it. At Grocery Shop here in Vegas a couple months ago, it seemed like it was every session, and it's because there's so much potential growth there. And these are all factors and levers that are gonna play into our conversation today around Shoppable and live streaming. You can also see there's retail stores. Are stores opening or stores closing? You're gonna hear today from a physical store retailer, Home Depot. You can see the numbers. These are again from CoreSite. And then on the right side, look at the growth of what live commerce platforms, significant. So the reason this session is interesting and we were all excited about it is A, we work in this space, but also B, there's significant growth here, and the expectations of shoppers is like there's an opportunity here. So, okay, what about Amazon? So just very briefly, I'll take like a minute just to give you some sense for two different parts of Amazon where we're doing aspects of this. So live streaming would be the first. How many of you have ever been on amazon.com/live or Amazon Live? Okay, a couple of you. You can do that on your phones right now, actually. It will look something like this. And what you'll notice here is, and what's interesting is you're gonna hear some different examples of how this could work with different parts of retail. But you see a curator, a content curator there in the middle. This could be a person that owns the brand or a person that's representing the brand. You see live chat on the right. You can actually buy the product that this person is showing here live. You can check that out. Here's another example of what this looks like, just to give you a sense, get you thinking about this topic before we jump into more detail. And this is a platform that, again, that Amazon offers as a way to shop. And also, we work with a lot of retailers. In fact, the vast majority of retailers work with our technical part of Amazon, called AWS, to put in place capabilities around shoppable video and live streaming. So a couple things that are big, these are real. AR, VR, and virtual try-on is real. This is something that companies are deploying today. The ability to look at products in your home in different ways, real, available today, and retailers are investing in this. Virtual stores, believe it or not, some brands are creating shoppable stores without having a physical store, right? And that's something you could buy immediately. We have partners that are looking at things like conversion and engagement, right? And then those are some of the metrics you'd be thinking about. So just think about that today as we dive into this topic. We can't have a meeting without saying the words AI, and you can't walk around CES without hearing AI or seeing AI in every booth. Someone yesterday said some of the booths, the paint was still drying on the A and the I on the booths, but it's real. And generative AI has moved so quickly, like the last 24 months. And you might say, well, what's the newest and what's the next thing there? It's video. So images are amazing. If you haven't seen generative AI create images, it's unbelievable. Look at this. This is a video created with, this isn't real in any sort of restaurant. This is created with a model, a generative AI model. And then here's another example, and this is something we just created a couple weeks ago. And I just show you this to give you a sense for, hey, video is coming. This is a commercial we put together, or the Amazon put together using a model here for a brand. And my point in showing you this is, guys, generative AI is moving faster than most people can keep up with, is moving faster than most companies can keep up with, is moving faster than most government organizations can even keep up with. So, okay, all of that being said, gives you some just sense of things to think about. We've got an incredible panel, as I mentioned earlier. We'll be talking about some of the metrics around this in a moment. So what we're gonna do is, each of the panelists here is gonna introduce themselves, share a little bit about their company, and then talk about how they're leveraging this type of capability today. And then we'll get to some questions, and we'll have some time for audience Q&A as well. So with that, I'll hand it over to Pamela.
Thank you, Justin. I'm Pamela. I work at Diddo. And what we do, very simply, is we bring shopping to video on any screen you use to consume media. So the consumption of media varies by age, but at the heart of it, everyone consumes media, right? You come home at the end of a work day, maybe you do laundry, maybe you go to the gym, maybe you go out for some drinks with your friends, but what you're most definitely gonna do is you're gonna watch some TV, right? And why do we do that? We're drawn to the content that we watch because it comforts us. It makes us laugh, it makes us think, but it also inspires our shopping choices. So that Lululemon jacket you saw on the morning show, imagine being able to purchase that right then and there without ever leaving that experience, going right back to watching. That is what we do. Diddo makes that connection very seamless. So we've created this sort of demo to kind of show you a little bit about what that looks in the real world. We are the API, so that means we're the invisible layer underneath that powers this experience. We communicate with the platform, communicating the data to it to power what you see here. So other players have tried to do something similar, but what we do differently is we make it so that you never have to leave that experience, right? So even, let's say that Lululemon top is a bit too pricey for you, it's out of stock. We give you different tops that look exactly the same at different price points, so we cater to different budgets. And this is just one example of what a checkout experience could look like. Because we're an API, we can create different types of UIs, different types of shopping experiences. And the core of it is we want it to be as simple as turning on subtitles, right? You see something, you choose something, you pay for it, and you go right back to the viewing experience. No second screens. No QR codes. We don't even really know if we wanted that QR code in the first place. But our list of partners is expanding rapidly, some of them including amazing companies with us today at CES. And partnering with us is a very simple process. You don't have to read through all of that. I'll give you a quick overview. But once you partner with us as a video streaming platform, we prioritize the highest, highly shoppable shows with you. You can choose the most relevant shows. We then ingest their video media assets with our technology. It doesn't ever have to leave their internal system, right? So that takes compliance as a problem right off the bat. We then use our Diddo magic, we use our proprietary video and product engines that are running on, yes, AI and computer vision to identify the shoppable objects, to identify the exact product and the similar products. And we also integrate with all of the e-commerce backends of the brands to enable that native checkout experience you saw earlier, where you never had to leave the experience possible. And this is all automated by us. So at the end of the day, the streaming platform gets a simple, easy-to-use API that they can use as building blocks to build whatever it is that they need. No payment information is stored by us. We use best practices for security, and the whole process is very safe and seamless at every step. And we also offer something like an admin dashboard. Right, this is an example of a brand. Valentino, for example, they have performance metrics, as you can see here. But if you're a streamer, we can also offer you the ability to review and approve products before they go live in your shows. And to be honest, we found that the big data component for our partners has proven to be really invaluable. Streamers want to know which shows are yielding the most revenue and which moments of the show are the highest emotional purchase intent moments. And brands want to know where in modern day media they're being shown and want to gauge changing consumer preferences and interests. There's really a vast variety of ways in which our technology could be used, whether that's fashion, whether that's sports, home goods, you name it. If you can just see up there, like if Netflix has access to that information, it might really change the way they choose what to air, if they can see what's converting, right? In today's world, commerce and content are merging, and that creates new needs to open up different streams of revenue, different ways to monetize, different ways of connecting with your audiences. And if you take that friction out of the shopping experience and you give consumers exactly what they want in the moment that they want them the most, well, that's what we do at Diddo. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Pamela. I think what's cool about this panel is you're getting some different perspectives from different companies and different angles on this topic, which I think is really cool. Okay, how many of you are Pinterest users? Yeah? All right, very, very good. Most of the room. Carrie's with us today. I'm super excited to introduce Carrie and talk about Pinterest. Well, it's such a great platform for engagement. I always say visual search, but it's so much more than that and evolved over time. But let me hand it to you to talk about what you're doing in the space and introduce the company as well.
Perfect. Terrific to be here. Thank you, Justin. I think you nailed it. We started about 15 years ago as primarily a visual search platform. We were very early on the Gen AI and the machine learning, which is now obviously all the rage. But at the heart of it, Pinterest is a place where we want you to inspire you to lead a life that you love. So broad use case, we see a ton of activity in 4 verticals: in home, fashion, beauty, and food. And I think if most of you know the Pinterest reputation, it's very inspirational and aspirational. You see beautiful content, lifestyle images, things that you say, oh, I would not know how to make that or create that or do that. And the number one piece of feedback we got from pinners over years has been, I want to buy that. I want to get that. I want to bring that beautiful
conversion.
lifestyle image to, to action. And we've really leaned into that over the past 2 years and said, success for us is passing a really primed and ready and delighted pinner off to a retailer to convert. We do not do conversions on our site. We want to be a pinner or a retailer's best friend. We do not want to compete. We don't want to take a commission and kind of wedge ourselves in there. And so we've made some pretty dramatic changes in every kind of facet of our app over the past 2 years to say we're going to pass Allison and Home Depot better quality traffic and conversions than ever before. And so I think when you think about shoppable video, that fits in really nicely to this overall vision to say we are all about shoppability. Pinners have always come with incredible commercial intent. They're essentially saving a list of things they want to buy or do. So when they come to us, ads really are content. 96% of our queries on the site that are words, and many are now visuals, they're searching with the camera. But when they do type in words, the vast, vast majority of them are less than 3 words. And it's beautiful kitchens, painting my house. And so it's really fertile ground for brands to come in and help step-by-step work with the pinner to say, here's how you deconstruct this cute room that the Home Depot content is showing us how to build.
So appropriate.
Pardon
So
me?
appropriate to have Home Depot here on.
It's like we planned it. Yeah, did it together. But here's where you can buy this yellow lamp. It used to be, we love this video, but I can't click it. Now we have 1 million tagged, formats and different formats that deconstruct the aspirational image to make it much more experiential, and you can click out immediately.
Have you been able to measure, like you've mentioned image search, have you been able to measure the increase in that versus text search?
You know what? We don't have a public stat on that yet. We're coming up on earnings, but significant change in user behavior in terms of how they search. And we saw that there was a Wall Street Journal article over the holidays saying Google has less than 50% share for the first time in terms of search volume. And I think that's because people are going to more specialized, verticalized search engines, and they're going to more visual places like Pinterest. So super interesting changing landscape, but we have about 8 or 9 different video formats. We try to keep it simple, but that all hooks into our shoppability vision. And the other thing worth noting, which somewhat comes across here too, is we've seen a voracious increase in usership on Pinterest from Gen Z. They're our biggest and our fastest growing cohort, and they cannot get enough video content. So you've just seen the video content posted to Pinterest and engaged with on Pinterest skyrocket as that cohort has grown. So I think it's sustainable, it's exciting. We also know that Gen Z, we didn't know if it was possible to like shopping more than the average pinner because they love to shop, but about half our pinners come saying we're here to shop. 2/3 of our Gen Z pinners say the same, and they say that they're more always on shopping. They're not coming and saying, I'm here to do something else. They're always like, if I see the right thing, I'll convert. I'll quickly, add to cart. So it's a pretty fun audience to work with and kind of keep meeting their needs. And all of our formats really respond to that and how we see them playing with the site.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that and great setup. How many of you are, you like to do projects at home? Home improvement people? Okay. The largest home improvement chain in the world, anybody know who that might be? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, say it again? Right.
Thanks, Justin.
I mean, 2,300 plus stores. This is so great. I mean, like I said, to have a physical store representation here, and where does this fit into your strategy and whatnot? Allison is with us, and talk about, where this fits into physical stores versus e-commerce, and then you've got this pro angle too.
Yep.
Is there a place there, or is it mainly consumer? So I'll hand it to you.
Yep. So hi, everyone. Thanks for the introduction. 2,300 stores and the largest home improvement brand in the world. So I think you said it all. Good to see you. I wanted to talk a little bit about how our customer is changing. And we have 2 large but primary target audiences at the Home Depot. The first is homeowners. If you have a home that you need to maintain and update, and the second is pros, and our pros who are actually doing the work in the home. And there has been a massive transformation in our consumer target audience in particular. In the 80s, the average age of the first-time home buyer was in their mid-20s. And now the average age of the first-time home buyer is 38. So it has aged up almost 15 years over the last 40 years. And you might be thinking in your head, like, what does that have to do with shoppable video? But the reality is that that lack of time that the customer has in their home to understand how to update their home, to understand what needs to be done to maintain their home, is meaning that we need to rely on video even more to inspire them, to explain things to them, to help them understand the features and product benefits of the things that they're buying. Because it's really, really intimidating. And even coming into the store can be intimidating for a customer who doesn't know how to navigate, doesn't know where things are, and doesn't know all the different things they need for their project. So as we've thought about shoppable video, for us, it hasn't been only about social, and it hasn't been all about live. In particular, in our category, it's a very, very considered purchase. A lot of times the customer does want to come into the store and see the refrigerator or look at the paint chips and take them home and get samples. So it's a little bit of a different experience. But what we're trying to do is really bring that shoppable experience into the actual physical living room. In our CTV buys, we are thinking very critically about shoppable video. And that top example that's animating, you'll see, I mean, that's our normal kind of spring spot. We're trying to get you excited and motivated to say, oh, it's time to go now to start thinking about your lawn for spring. And then this example, you can text yourself and it would actually open up a link on your phone, and then you can shop all the products that are featured in the ad. So while you're dual screening, we know everybody is dual screening, right? It's all about attention. So we have seen that unit in particular drove a 4x engagement rate of the Roku average on Roku. On some of the examples on the other side of the screen, both with YouTube and Hulu, yes, we still have QR codes in our linear buys, but we've also been toying with gamification and getting people to actually answer quiz questions and things like that from their remotes. And interestingly, in that lower unit that actually has the quiz questions, a lot of people were answering the questions and playing the game, but almost no one was using the QR code. So to Diddo's point. So there's a lot of testing and learning that has to be done here to say, what's the environment that the customer wants to interact, and how are they going to interact with us when they're, in the middle of watching something on their TV, whether that's a game or, their favorite show on Roku. So that has been really interesting. As we think about social, clearly shoppable video is part of our social experience, and we do an extensive amount of this with all of our social partners, and Pinterest in particular, like Carrie's example. You'll see in that middle example here, this is showing the customer, again, how do we inspire them, get them thinking about what can be done in their space, and then making that really easily discoverable and shoppable directly from the unit. And I think what has been a fun learning is that we've sort of historically always thought about video and shoppable and performance media as these two distinct things. Video is for your brand metrics and lift your brand health and lift your brand favorability, and then you've got all your performance media. And what we're seeing is that now we can do both in one experience. And that has been just such a fun discovery and is, kind of kill two birds with one stone. So even in that middle unit, we saw multiple points lift to our brand favorability and customers that are then clicking through and buying direct from that unit. So we were able to accomplish both objectives in one. So that has been a really unique learning, and gives us sort of motivation to continue to test and learn and figure out how to bring these experiences more natively into the platforms.
That's great. And then so we'll work our way back this way now. So how did you get here at the Home Depot? Because you guys have you've had a legacy growth organization focused on stores, right? In-store experience. And then you've introduced the e-commerce experience, and now you're making it even better. So talk about some of the internal mechanisms. I know some of your business leadership is here. Talk about how you guys navigated that to understand the consumer and what their needs were or potential needs were, and then how did you test it? Give us some of the thinking around that.
Yeah. I mean, it's our job in marketing to be relentlessly focused on the customer, right? And the customer is shifting. Like, if we just sat there and said, we're just going to be Home Depot, the retail store, then, we would probably follow the fate of many other retailers that are no longer here today. What is interesting is we see that 70 to 80% of our customers are on our website researching before they come to the store.
Wow.
So we know the importance of the research and the product discovery phase and the planning before you come into the store, and the importance of our store as part of like finishing the conversion process. So growing the website and growing HomeDepot.com is obviously a core objective, just like growing the sales in the store is. And so we're just trying to figure out how to follow the customer and the way that they behave and the way that they shop. So there's constant, just sort of test and learn and test and iterate of what are we going to be able to do and bring, and how are we going to measure what's working, and then go from there. But I mean, it's core to our strategy, right, to make our digital commerce experiences as frictionless and as connected to our store experience as possible.
I love that. And then last thing, you mentioned the Pro. Explain the Pro in case the audience doesn't know who that is, and then what's your thought on how you customize or cater to them versus the typical Justin consumer?
So for those of you who don't know, our Pro customers, they are residential home builders, remodelers, your plumbers, your electricians, the talented individuals that keep our homes running, and for which we have a major shortage of in the United States, actually. Video for them is a little bit different. I mean, they shop with us quite differently, where our average customer is coming into our stores for help with a project. Our Pro might be in our store 3, 4, 5 days a week, depending on what they need and what they're working on. So when we think about our Pro customers, we are more thinking about videos to help them understand our capabilities and the business solutions that we offer in terms of job site delivery, our flatbed delivery, how much quantity we can get to job site. So it's a little less product shopping and more about the full business capabilities that can make their lives easier on a day-to-day basis.
Love it. That's great. Thank you. Such a great brand. And so connected. Okay, back over to Pinterest. So, Carrie, talk about how do you think about the pinner? I think you called it, right? Yeah. And like what are they like? What do they not like? What's working? What's not? How do you think about digital roadmap in this space? Like, how do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the primary aspect of content that resonates with them is still utility, and that's been pretty consistent since the app started. 15 years ago. They're coming because they want to see that spark of inspiration. They want the beauty, but then they want to unpack it, which is why the shoppable video fits in so nicely. They want to deconstruct that video and have the tags, have the ability to click out. So I think similar to how you spoke about your pros and probably your core consumers too, they need to be kind of guided and shown what's possible. So what we see is if a video is short videos work. They work everywhere. We have short attention spans. But if we see a video that's just beautiful, people get a little frustrated and start commenting, like, how do I buy it? How do I do it? So give them the DIY tips in some of the comments on the pin. Link out to step-by-step directions to where you can buy. It's all about that utility. And they know legitimacy and authenticity when they see it, and the people that are giving good advice on how to bring this to life, especially in the DIY home space. So yeah, I would say utility. Interesting.
And so, you talked earlier about, you'll, I'll say showcase brands or content and whatnot, and then pass off to, let's say, a Home Depot or other. Has there been tension to go down a broader path that's not in your sweet spot, and you guys have done such a good job of staying focused on what you're best at, but how have you managed that internal tension to go, well, maybe we could also
it's such a good question, because especially in a fast-paced digital landscape, there's an appetite to be everything to everyone. I dabbled as a management consultant before coming to this space, and our mantra was profit from the core. Do your thing right and then expand to adjacencies, but do it thoughtfully. And I do think Pinterest has done that really well. We know there is a voracious appetite for video, but we aren't TikTok, we aren't other platforms. I do think that's ended up really resonating, especially with Gen Z that say, this is kind of about me and my taste. I don't feel under pressure to show off. I'm not trying to get likes. I'm actually designing my life. It feels like a much more positive space. And so that's helped us kind of stay true to, we will do all sorts of video and give them tools to be creative, but we also see that pinners want something oftentimes like a little more editorial or curated than rightfully how Amazon plays in the space. You guys, it's clearly working in your life that people are kind of off the cuff, pulling up their phones, showing their houses, being real.
Sure.
And Pinterest probably skews a little bit more curated than that, and that's true to our ethos. So I think it's always a battle, but our leadership is very united, and we keep saying, be a retailer's best friend. That's our
Stay
profit from the
focused.
core, and
Right.
we've got more to do there, and we can get them even better traffic and conversions.
I love it. Okay, thank you. Pamela, you've worked with a lot of different brands on setting this up and thinking about the strategy and then connecting the dots back to what needs to be in place to even enable some of the things we've seen here today. So like when someone does it well, what is it that they're doing that's making it so they're successful versus maybe others that do not have the right alignment? And give us some coaching on how to think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually think it's about not over-engineering it, and it's very much about the experience, right? Like, we want to bring the viewer into the experience, and I think both Pinterest and Home Depot have done this very well historically, but, you can have all the tech in the world, but the tech is there to enable a better experience. Like, our technology makes it so that, we can put that, high-intention purchase moment and make it very native to the person. I feel like the less you try to sell, obviously, the more you will actually sell, and especially for the younger generation, like the Gen Zs who grew up on the internet and also have just a very different sort of mindset when it comes to, they're very intelligent when it comes to purchasing and all that. It's very obvious when something is not meant to be there or something is too forced. And we find that the companies that really care about the user experience, making it as easy as possible, as seamless as possible, this is not a new thing, right? Like, I think our moderator said in the beginning, in China, this has been a thing for a while already, right? So this is not a new concept. So making it a learned behavior that people don't think there's so many more steps to actually get there, and making it something like, tapping on learned behaviors that are already seen, we found to be the best way to execute and make a successful shoppable video. Yeah.
That's great. We've got a couple minutes left here, so I'll just go down the line. We'll start down with Allison. One or two pieces of advice you'd offer to the audience here looking to leverage this type of technology or this type of digital capability. Like, what are one or two things they should be thinking about, and we'll just kind of work our way down.
Yeah, I mean, you said it earlier, I think, as we're trying to figure out how to produce the volume of content that we need. I mean, Pinterest is a platform, and we have multiple other social platforms that we are producing for, and we have our TV buys that we're producing for, and so there's just this endless need for content. So just making sure we're aggressively pursuing and how to do that. And then what are the new processes that you need internally in your organization then to actually get the content human approved, released, and ready to go? Because it doesn't matter how much we can make. I mean, we've seen brands making missteps when they're releasing things that haven't been verified and vetted. And so figuring out how you're then going to change your organizational behavior and structure to accommodate the volume of content that you're able to produce is really, really important, and something that we're still working through, quite honestly.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a tension, right, to be managed. Okay, we'll keep coming down this way, Carrie.
Yeah, that resonates deeply. I mean, every marketer knows it's incredibly hard to keep up with the demand for content, and you can't put out something half-baked that doesn't resonate. It hurts the very brand you're trying to build. I think we hope that we can play a small role in alleviating some of that pressure and that workload with some of our AI tools. So our machine learning is best in class. It's been around longer than many. And so now we're working to auto-tag images. If there's an organic image of a kitchen, why not say you can get these cabinets at Home Depot, add the link. So a lot of that will be AI and machine learning that'll take the manual lift off of our clients' plates. I think we also have some tools, things like, and we're focused on static right now, but it'll soon be video. If you do feed-based advertising, you send us all of your feed, immediately creates pins, but it's on a white background. We know that's not the inspiration they want. We'll fill in the background. So we've seen some incredible lift in all metrics when we add those backgrounds to static
Interesting.
images, and video will be next, similar to what you did at Amazon in your first.
Yeah, I
slide.
mean, and that's a great use case. Now it's an easy use case for generative AI in terms of images. That's great. Okay, Pamela? Say that again? Okay. One or two pieces of advice that you would leave the audience with as they're thinking about investing in this space or considering like where this fits into their composable commerce strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, shoppable commerce is the future, right? If you just look at TikTok Shop, just TikTok Shop alone, in the first year they're in the US, they grossed like 5.5 billion GMV first year. Second year, 20 billion GMV, right? This is happening. It's not really about like whether or not it's happening. It's more about what to sell and how to sell it. So here at Diddo, we really care about like making sure that that user experience is just getting it right. Like we said, we want to not have QR codes. I mean, we're partnered with a top connected TV device, thinking about doing things with the remote. It's more about how to sell. We just really want to do it in the right way. And so other advice coming into that is, I would say, cater to the consumer and be very aware that like different demographics just think about this very differently. Like older demographics, from what we've seen, are used to thinking about the infomercials or the QBCs of their time. And with them, it's very intentional to choose the right channels. Like think your Food Networks, your HGTVs, right? Your lifestyle-oriented shows. And with your Gen Zs, right? We are seeing a completely different way of thinking. They're used to this. They're brought up on this. So this is almost an expected thing. It's a necessary thing. They're waiting for that. And I mean, media companies and fashion companies are buying into this. Louis Vuitton was like one of the producers of Emily in Paris, right? YSL released was invested in 2 films that released at the Cannes Film Festival. I mean, Home Depot is partnering with HGTV. It's everywhere. So it's happening. It's just more about how to execute that. And Diddo, we want to make that possible for everyone to become a creator, for everyone to be able to kind of get a bit of a stake, a piece of the pie, and remove all the roadblocks that traditionally exist in this industry. And I think we're in the right time to do it, and it wasn't possible a few years ago. And with advances in technology, that's kind of where we're sitting.
Awesome. So with that, I'll thank all of you for choosing this session. We know you had a choice in where you spent your time this afternoon, and thank you for spending it with us. And thanks to Pamela, Allison, and Carrie. Please join me in giving them a round of applause.